Hello and welcome to the third PandaCast. In this PandaCast tonight, we're going to be talking about the voxel event that we just did, Memorial Day Mayhem, and we're going to preview the June event, and everybody's going to talk about what they got going on for June. But tonight we're switching up a little bit. We have a singular host tonight, our newest team member, Dan. He's going to go and through and bring you all on this journey tonight. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dan.
All right. Hello, I'm Dan. There we go. Um, in this episode, we are going to cover two events. As a team, we uh, went to the Memorial Day Mayhem event at the Robot Combat Excitement over in Fitchburg, Mass, hosted by Glenn Boxall, he of Caldera fame, and we did a bot swap. If you saw last episode, you saw us doing the bot swap of choosing which robots we're going to. Each person's going to run. Basically, no one ran their own bot. Everyone had a different one, and it was a fun time. I had a fun time. I didn't run a robot, so it was great. It's very easy. But we're going to recap that, talk about our experiences, and then we're going to do a little preview of the June event, the June NHRL event, which is this Saturday. The matchups for that have dropped, so we're going to talk about those and just general feelings in the event. And that's it. So starting off with overall recap, we had a couple of changes from the original roster that we were gonna do for the Memorial Day Mayhem. We had Ominius swapped out to have IDK WTF ID in instead. Because actually, Evan, why the switch?
Because I didn't hate Matt enough to send Arminius in with the limited spares I had on hand. So I wanted him to at least have a little bit of fun, so I didn't send him in with Arminius. Instead, I pulled IDK off the shelf and put it right in, and I think it worked out.
Shout out to Kevin for being a good teammate. Because yeah, seems much more fun. But yeah, so that swap happened, and then Lyndon and Jillian, the bot barons, they were going to have Yippee in the bot swap, but instead they dropped that bot and they independently ran Prince and Vanguard. I forget, did they switch drivers? Or was it the normal?
They switched, yeah.
Okay, yeah. They switched with each other, but not in the swap. Overall, we did pretty good as a team. We took second and third place at the event and had a decent showing overall. Also, fun little stat that isn't on screen right now. We actually fought our own team 7 times at this event. 4 times in the qualifiers and 3 times in the bracket. Oh, right, the event format. I don't know if we talked about that. But it was essentially there was like a opening, like everyone, you have 3 fights in the opening round and you just fight bots and then you're seeded into the bracket based off of that. And then it's a single elimination. Like similar to what NHL does. But yeah, in those qualifier fights, that the initial 3 fights there, we fought ourselves 4 times and then we ended our own day as a team 3 times in the bracket, which is fun. Yeah.
Uh,
What is? You talk about Vanguard and Prince now, or
um,
yeah, because if Lynn and Jillian are here,
yeah, maybe hold off on those.
Yeah. I mean, I was pitted right next to them.
oh
So
yeah,
I can talk a little bit about what they were talking about.
do you
So
have any?
their biggest issue was with Vanguard. It's a newer robot and they hadn't stressed the new hub motors a ton. And they were just breaking them left and right. So that bot has a relatively long lever arm as far as the weapon goes, and it's an undercutter. So the motor that they're using is cantilevered; it's not mounted on both sides. And that was really a struggle for that hardware. They were just um, shattering magnets, bending the actual main can of the hub. They were having back to back problems with that. So they're really looking at how they're going to go in the future and try and support that better, or use a different piece of hardware, or what they're going to be able to do, because that just in its current state isn't really viable. They're hitting too hard for their own hardware.
Yeah, I know they were talking with Seth as well about like potential upgrades for the hub motor. So maybe they'll run the same motor in the future, but like an improved version. But we'll see. Yeah. Overall, their bots went 4-4. Prince was one of the bots that lost in bracket to another Panda bot. Was it that fought? Was it Basics? I forget.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Basics, we're gonna move into some general questions about the event. I wanted to ask Kevin, you specifically, how did you feel about the swap? Because Basics came in second, had a pretty good run.
So for me at least, the swap went great. Overall, slightly different story. There was definitely some sheer pandemonium. But Basics was great. The bot was super simple to work on. Was very durable. And then as far as like my other side of swap is for giving my robot away, I feel like it went okay. Matt didn't come over and strangle me at any point. So like as far as that went, I think like it all worked out well and it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Then also, yeah, as you mentioned, it wasn't all stress-free for everybody. And no area. Sorry, Alex. I'm trying. It was maybe Ariel or Tim, if you had any particular experiences you would like to talk about.
So we both had
we
Alex's
got
robots. I'm gonna let Tim go first.
Oh yeah, let me go first. You're gonna force me to go first. Yeah. So Alex was very short on time, and the bots were not quite ready. Both of them were really not quite ready. I was kind of panicking because I thought this version of Cole basically didn't exist at all until like Thursday night before, when Alex came to Brandeis to hand over parts for me, and I was like, oh, there is actually all of the parts of a robot here, which is great. The other kind of panicky situation was Alex had put an order in with RSL, Robot Stomping League, Robot Smashing League.
Smashing.
Yeah, to have like some carbon fiber pieces cut, some UHMW pieces cut, various like major structural components of the robot. And they gave the shipping notice as going to show up Thursday night. And we were like, oh, so we might just not get the parts. So that was panicky as well. It ended up that he was able to get me the parts that night. And I had Friday off anyways, because of Memorial Day. I got a partial day and I took the other half. So I was going to be home anyways, and I was going to be working on robot stuff anyways. So I ended up spending the entire day building out 1.5 Cole frames, basically rebuilding the one that Alex had with some like temporary parts. He had like wooden pieces. And then building out a full second one that we could swap parts onto, or, like rip the arm off or rip a drive pod off, something like that. So honestly, going to the event, I was super stressed because I had like already done a full day's worth of robot work. And so I was in kind of a bad mind space to start with, where like, if something goes wrong, instead of trying to solve a puzzle, I was like, I don't care, I'm going to walk away. Also, Kevin and I had already been talking a whole bunch about rock crawling, little RC cars, because we were at RC Excitement and they had all sorts of neat things, various like rally courses and off-road courses and things. So
we'll get to that part later.
Yeah. So I was just excited to participate in the RC Excitement as well. So as for how Cole went, like way better than expected, to be honest. So it was a brand new version of a robot that was like ground up redesign. This was not like a small iteration. This was a drastic iteration. And inevitably when that happens, you have major growing pains. And previous Cole had some major issues before. So a lot of these upgrades were actual upgrades that did fix previous problems. So Cole, in the fighting, we had issues where either one drive side wouldn't work, or the weapon wouldn't work, or the arm wouldn't work. Like, I don't know that we ever got a fully functional Cole for any of the fights. And even given that, it did really well as like made it. I don't know. You probably have the stats there, but it made it partway into the bracket. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Top 16 at a like 36 robot event. So
yeah. So for a brand new iteration, I feel like it did quite well. It also went against some really heavy hitters. It did really good job corralling. It did a good job taking certain kinds of hits. Other hits it didn't do as well on. And there were a bunch of things learned. And as far as like the overall trying to learn about bot swap, like the whole idea was Alex's build style is very different than mine. So we got to see each other's methodology. His organization of parts and stuff is far superior to mine. He was doing a bunch of different things with swapping in like the drive pods as a full separate unit, swapping the arm as a full separate unit. Having those separate component things is really neat and something that I don't do. I have to do like major teardowns of the bots if I need to swap individual components. So I definitely learned something. In hindsight, it was fun. In the moment, it was not very fun. And Alex and I were not on great terms for the beginning of that day. But yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to learn about the whole thing. And Cole did better than any of us expected, really. It did such a good job with corralling. And when it actually dropped that arm, boy, it really hit like a truck. It buried itself really deep in a couple robots. So it was pretty cool to see.
Related question to that, actually. Is there anything that you, from working on Cole, like a very different bot, anything that you want to take to your personal bots, like to Chubby Unicorn or Pretty Fly?
Yeah, so mentioning the like the pod separation like that, I think that's really cool. I'm not sure that I can do that with Chubby, but I might be able to do something similar with Pretty Fly. I've also been questioning using composites like carbon fiber for bottom plates and top plates and things like that. You get a lot of stiffness, you get very low weight, and you can get away with really thin pieces. And I've very solidly defined that that is not something I'm interested in. If you look at carbon fiber funny, it splinters and then it covers your hands and it's awful to work on and it's a nightmare. The other thing is Alex is maybe the only human on this planet that can actually get all of the wires into Cole in a way that it will actually function. And like, I'm pretty good at Tetris, don't get me wrong, but this thing's different. So I'm more appreciative of how much work I've put into the weird wiring harness stuff of Chubby. And I think that's more important. I usually leave wiring and electronic stuff to the end and like it'll fit where it fits. And I think I need to really prioritize that in future builds instead of like just kind of hoping it'll fit.
Yeah,
that's
Alex,
good to hear.
You did a direct swap. You had Chubby Unicorn. Anything?
Yeah.
Anything?
Well,
vice
first
versa?
off, like I feel really bad because I got like handed ultimately a sports car, like, and gave away a kit car. Like Tim was like, here's 3 frames that are like pretty much ready to go. You just have to put wheels on them. Which was a fascinating thing to learn, that you just like put wheels on every event and take them off before you put the robot back in a box with foamies. I haven't used foamies ever. No, I haven't used foam wheels for a Beetle ever. So there is definitely like a lot of like, oh wow, this is not as bad as I thought it would be. With the fact that like the frame is just all integrated. Granted, I think a lot of that is that Chubby's just like bulletproof and super reliable, and I didn't need to work on it that much. And when I did, I had a second frame. I've mostly been I have one robot and a ton of spares person, and I just swap. The prior iteration of Cole, I could swap the chassis fully with like all the electronics going from one robot to another in like 10-15 minutes. This version of Cole, I don't think that's quite as feasible. It's a little bit trickier because of the standoffs. But knowing that, okay, if you have a spare robot, you can get away with a lot more intricate designs that don't necessarily have to be like first order retrievable, is actually a boost of confidence in the other direction, that like I can design something a little bit more complicated. Burying the lead here, Chubby got third place, which was awesome. That's like, I would consider that the best event I've ever had. Thank you for handing me your robot, Tim. It was a lot of fun to drive. There were definitely like a couple of kinks that I could tell Tim about, like the wires rubbing on the can. I think made it a little bit on the drive motor cans. I think made it a little bit slower sometimes than it could have been and it was at other times. But ultimately, I think I fought 3 Pandamonium bots that day. I fought Basics, IDK, and Prince, and we beat Basics and IDK, which I was very scared of both of those robots. And Prince we only lost in a judge's decision, which was like more like I expected to get knocked out by at least one of them, but Chubby doesn't die, which is crazy and more than any of my robots have ever done. We lost to the wall, part 2.
Speaking
the
of
wall
which,
makes
yeah.
a lot of robots look pretty bad. One of the greatest knockouts, if not the greatest knockout I've ever seen. In the first like 10 seconds of the match, like I was literally like driving over the forks, and he hit the drive pulley on Chubby on the far side, so that took out my left side drive completely because it cut both of the belts at once. And at that point, I was like, "Oh, this is not gonna go well. You need to be able to outmaneuver a hammer saw, and you can't do that without a side of drive." But you know, Tim said I wasn't allowed to tap unless he was like gonna actively hit my battery. So I kept fighting. At which point I got inverted at some point. And there were like 3 shots to the belly. 2 of them hit the can of the right side drive Blitz Pro, and then the other one hit the can of the weapon motor, which like individually smashed or peeled the can off of all 3 actuators. So Chubby could not do anything. It could maybe spin the can on the left side of drive. And that was
the
it.
most KO'd.
Perfectly
Like the-
mechanically KO'd. None of the electronics, unless you count like stator wires, were touched. And I got counted out on my head. It was awesome.
Like he did surgery. He just like
Yeah.
individually took apart
Yeah,
each system.
I don't know if we queued up pictures, but
I don't either.
there are some
Maybe.
crazy pictures.
Yeah, well,
And Tim wasn't there.
More on
Foreshadowing.
that one later.
yeah,
You
this is
also-
true.
I want to say you also caused, you beat Basics and IDK in the same way, which was broken power switches. I don't know what happened to Basics. We resoldered and everything, and it worked fine after, but probably a cold solder joint, and it got knocked loose. And then on IDK, you hit it in a way that has never been hit before by Chubby Unicorn. So you also get that to brag about.
There you go.
I think it's
I was
pretty
also-
cool that we learned the exact opposite thing from each other. Like in the same like I want more first order, and you feel confident to have fewer first order repair items. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like there's a balance, and like sometimes you need to have that, and so sometimes it's really nice, and sometimes like you want the features.
Ben is in the chat, and he says, "I am both proud and sorry for that match."
That's the point
Now
of the
that's the
sport.
best. Yeah, that's the best way to lose. No need to be sorry.
It was like I don't know, if it was like a technical weird, like, oh, some tiny bit of plastic got jammed in there, then that would have been sad. But
Yeah.
I've
And
taken
then
apart the whole robot. That's great.
I gave Zane over to Ariel, and Zane was like ready to run pretty much. Unlike Cole, I just like did not have the time to make any amount of spares, and Zane is a little bit more like Chubby in that there's a couple of operations that take quite a while, and a good amount of dexterity.
I was just happy that there was a Zane that existed because leading up to this event, Alex on the Discord was like, sorry guys, like nothing's gonna be ready. It's gonna kind of be like as good as it gets. So I was very nervous that I was gonna get like, here's some parts, like Saturday morning, good luck. But it was ready and it was good and it worked. And actually, not having spares was a bit of a feature because in the first fight, I got broken and I ended up completely having to rebuild Zane from scratch. And I learned a lot from that. It was probably my favorite part of the day. The rest of the day, it was just the same exact failure over and over for 3 matches in a row, which was basically just the same match over and over, where one side stopped working and then the gears on the side that was working just ate themselves. So, but I did win a fight. So
Yeah, that
it
was a
went
crazy
significantly
Zane
better
win.
than I expected.
Do you want to talk about that win, actually? It was a fascinating fight.
Yeah, I probably should have rewatched the fight before we got on. But what I do know is the way that we broke the robot was like basically turning Zane into a hammer saw and just like smashing the top of power on and bending the weapon shaft and breaking a bunch of other things. It was an awesome fight. And I started the day with a win, so it made it, it was good.
Awesome. Anyone else have like favorite fights of either their bot or someone else's bot that we haven't talked about?
It was really cool to see Donald drive Half-Life against Eruption. Matt's not a huge fan because Donald didn't know how to reverse. I'm doing quotes, it's hard to see. But just seeing Half-Life tank the hits from Eruption was just like jaw-dropping. It was so cool because like Eruption's a heavy hitter. It hits so hard. And the fork design and everything, it literally just took it and it didn't care and it kept going. And I thought that was just like A+.
Well, legally speaking, it didn't keep going. Donald actually ended the KO streak for the last 2 years because he had to tap because he lost all of his drive and like I was like, yeah, just tap at this point. Like Ryan wasn't gonna hit it again, but I was like, yeah, you might as well just tap. It's gonna be 10 seconds. You can just save everybody. But we what's it called? Yeah, I learned Donald's like, I don't know how to drive in reverse, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you can't drive backwards with a vert. I'm like, that's dumb. So over
Maybe
the
that's
day,
why Froggy flips all the time.
no, Froggy just flips because it wants to flip. Tim can speak to it, immediately flipping it. So that's not how that works.
Yeah, immediately flipping by driving backwards. You just Froggy
Yeah,
needs to go
it
straight.
does want to flip when you're driving backwards, but I disagree with the idea that you can't drive a vert backwards. Chubby primarily drives backwards.
That's
According
true,
to
yeah.
Donald and Kevin, you cannot drive basics backwards. Which is interesting. But yeah, he drove really well. He got kind of lucky. He didn't have to play the config game too much because that was something that
anything.
Donald doesn't really do. He effectively fought beater bars all day except for Prince, where he lost. So it was pretty easy for him, he said. I think Donald restricted the amount he wanted to flame my robot because there were a couple of dumb things that I know he hated. Mainly relating to how I kind of hold things while you're changing parts out. It kind of wants to fall apart even though it's together. As well as some of the wire management is not great. I use duct tape a lot to hold wires down, and some wires are too long for repairability reasons. Donald did cause me to experience a failure mode that wasn't ever experienced, which is he over tightened a nut because I said, "Oh, just tighten it; it'll bottom out." It bottomed out past the thread, so we actually had to go outside and spend 20 minutes cutting off a nut to take something off. But generally, I think he said he had fun, and he drove it really well towards the end of the day. He beat basics earlier in the day, which is pretty cool. Kind of schooled Kevin, honestly. And then the second time around, he just decided to troll a little bit, and he could have won that fight too if he tried a little harder. But I think Donald just wanted to like make Kevin not be able to crawl. So, but we'll get to that later.
But we'll get to that later.
It's so much foreshadowing of the like was supposed to be like a 5-minute crawling segment.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be an hour.
It's the rest of the podcast. Sorry guys, we're not doing June actually. No one gets to know. Let's see what else. What else? There's a lot of switching in the bot draft last time, and some people did and did not get their first choice. Did any? I forget who like. Was it Matt who got switched like 4 times?
It was Lyndon.
It was Lyndon.
No, it
Lyndon.
was Lyndon.
It was
Yeah, he
Lyndon.
got swiped from all the time.
Hmm. Well, he's not here to talk about the experience, so did anyone else get switched?
No, I wish I had.
Didn't I steal Chubby from you?
Yeah, you did. You're the worst.
I got Chubby stolen from me as well.
You liked IDK. Don't even cry about it.
Okay.
Basics. I
So-
had basics stolen from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can go on my IDK rant now. So my big fear of Ominius was direct solder. The only thing I truly was fearful of that robot was the 4-in-1 that Kevin direct soldered everything to. Because Kevin doesn't believe in connectors. Tim, you and Jaren know about connectors, right?
Oh yeah.
So I am an average solderer. I genuinely do not enjoy soldering under pressure because it is the most terrifying thing I can do because I know I'll in the moment shake my hand and short something and I'll be pissed off because I'll be like, this is stupid. Why did I have to direct solder this? So when I had IDK this entire day, I'm like, I do not want to direct solder this. And then in one fight, Kevin's like, oh, just swap to the other frame. It's easier. And he's like, by the way, the 4-in-1 is dead in this other frame. I found out last night. So you have to direct solder. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I have to direct solder in like 20 minutes because it was like the lunch break and that was the first, like one of the first fights. And I'm like, you're killing me. You're actually killing me. I'm going to lose. But I will now backpedal. I direct soldered in 20 minutes and it was not as terrible as I was expecting. So much so that for my dumb plant I'm going to make for Ariel and Kevin's party where we're going to fight some plants, I'm going to use an RSL 4-in-1 and direct solder everything. Because it really wasn't terrible. That said, the other thing I hate about your robot are the uprights because they get damaged so easily if you don't drive it correctly because of your stupid short forks that if they get ripped out, you're like, oh, replace the entire upright. And I'm like, oh, this won't be too bad. But because he direct solders to this 4-in-1 with such short wires, to change the upright, everything stays together. So I had to like hold it upright like this on a table. And I'm like, I really just want to take this away and put the repeat max in and be done with it. And instead, I'm just like wanting to curse the entire time. And that was the worst part. But generally speaking, IDK is kind of fun. It doesn't flip because it's so wide with wheelbase that it just doesn't want to flip. So I could like drive like an idiot and I wouldn't flip myself. My only complaint is Kevin's exact words of advice were you have to hit people full speed or it won't do shit. And that is truly the case. I think part of it is because you have 2 teeth. When if you went to a single impactor, it'd probably be better because then it wouldn't be as grindy. But generally, I try to embrace the not caring mentality, and like things were loose. Like like I was just like, oh, this will kind of just sit here, and it wasn't that bad, but there are things that were not enjoyable. But generally, it was pretty fun. When I fought MCB and punted it around the bot a little bit and KO'd it, I'm like, okay, this is fun. I would do this again.
Quick little backtrack to the funny part of the story. You didn't want Ominius because it was direct solder, and you thought you were getting a break with IDK until you opened the top and remembered it was direct solder. And he was
I
just like,
literally
no!
said, oh, crud. He direct solders to a 4-1 on top of his battery. Oh, that's the other thing. Changing the battery is actually a nightmare.
It's really not that bad once you get the hang of it.
I never got the hang of it, Kevin. I swapped the battery like 10 times.
I told you, just charge it in the bot. It's fine.
Safety right there.
You're
Like,
muted, Danny.
technically, at our RCE, you're supposed to charge in a lipo bag. It's like
Thank
a
you,
rule
Alex,
of the
for
venue.
pointing out the thing that I pointed out to Kevin when he told me that.
Yeah, but they sold the big enough lipo bag to stick the whole robot in, so technically, meh.
See,
I get
nodding
it.
your head.
But then you can't repair the robot while your battery's charging.
Don't take damage.
Yeah, just don't get
That's
hit.
if your robot can actually fit inside of a lipo bag.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone hear me?
Yes, he's back.
Yeah.
Hooray! It did nothing. Okay, good. That's all the scripted questions I had for this event. I'd like also to go on and thank the people who made this happen. First off, thanks to our sponsor Greg from Overture. He brought a whole bunch of filament that a bunch of people took. I think all of the rolls were gone within like 45 seconds of them coming out, because people like Overture filament in their combat robots. You look into buying it today for yours. And also, I'm pretty sure Matt won a printer from a giveaway. Because they
It's called
do.
if you are into 3D printing discords, you should join the Overture Discord. They actually run a contest that everyone in the Discord is entered into, which is every time they go to a trade show like Rocky Mountain Rep Raff Festival, they do a contest for winning printers. So Greg actually visited the event and said hello and hung out with us for a bit. And he asked Ariel at one point, "Oh, do you know this like person named White Yeti on Discord?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do. He's right over there." So I was telling everyone all day I was winning a printer, except Tim, apparently, because Tim was busy crawling. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Before we do get to that, should we talk about Beetlejuice at all?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. That's the only bot we didn't like discuss. So Ellie now gets to roast me for making her lose her last fight.
Okay. Well, I've been
That's my
practicing my
fault.
compliment sandwiches. So I want to start by saying running Beetlejuice was nice for several reasons. I had previously in the last PandaCast promised even, that Zane was easy to work on because I have only ever worked on Zane and the first version of Cole, which was Jackie Daytona. I clearly didn't really know what easy to work on meant. So I want to apologize for spreading misinformation on the internet. But Beetlejuice was actually extraordinarily easy to work on. I am not someone who has a lot of experience with robotics. I am sort of in this by accident. But working on Beetlejuice was genuinely one of the first times that I have really enjoyed doing this and really found it rewarding. I got my first tournament win ever. I knocked out Phantom 4 in a single hit, which was insane. I, was very, very proud of myself. Got my first trophies from my fights. And there was not a single fight that I had where I felt like I was, fighting a losing battle against myself or against the robot. That said, there were 2 fights that I lost to Beetlejuice. I think the most notable one was I had smoked the weapon motor in the previous fight, so we were transferring everything over to the other chassis, and we had to do some stuff to the motor, so we took the C-ring off, and then it vanished. So we're looking for this little part, looking for it, and then eventually, like, whatever, we'll just put a new one on. It was in the motor.
Yes, it was. It
Um,
was stuck to one of the magnets.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was.
completely my fault because I didn't even check. I was just like, yeah, let's just put this back together.
But I mean, I'm like, I don't fault you for not checking because that's an insane thing to happen. Um, but that was my one moment where I was like, God damn, okay. Feels
I will always
familiar.
check now or make sure I have enough motors prepped that I don't have to ever deal with that.
Yeah. But, lesson learned. I am not mad. I am not upset. I still had fun. Um, yeah, it was great running Beetlejuice. I got horizontal pilled.
That's
I'm
good.
glad you liked it. I'm excited to see your next robot.
I haven't done a name reveal yet, but I will at some point.
Do it. Never mind. I was gonna say you could do a live one now, but I don't want to. That's pressuring.
I want it to exist a little bit more first.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Memorial Day Mayhem? Anyone else?
The venue is really actually very nice because they run races there, so it was very organized, clean, uh, genuinely great venue to host robot fighting. And I think they said they're going to be hosting another one in September, actually, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Number 27.
Nice.
So I definitely could see why like people would go there because like the shop was really organized. Like I know during the whole purchasing crawlers, the staff was very helpful and good at recommending stuff. They weren't just trying to push stuff on people, which was cool. So would recommend going there just for RC cars if you're into that thing.
I had races the same day. It was kind of fun. You could just like step outside of the pits and just like watch RC car races for a couple minutes, then go back inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, shout out to Glenn. Overall, great event. 10 out of 10 will do again. It did, however, cost us quite a bit of money because several of us bought RC crawlers there.
What a
Evan and
segue.
Tim, you ring led this. This is, I blame you. Talk about this.
So Kevin and I had already gone into this with the understanding that we were going to purchase RC crawlers.
Yep.
And I went into this with the expectation that I was going to convince Daniel to buy an RC crawler, and Daniel did not go into this with the expectation to leave with an RC crawler. But here we are with 3 RC crawlers.
Where's mine's like right over there. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I got mine
lives on
right
my
here.
desk.
Mine's too far. Just trust me.
So yeah, we ended up getting little 18th or 24th scale small RC crawlers, and they're kind of the perfect size to drive around on like a desk. And I'm a big fan of trying to drive over like people's pit area because you just have this like inorganic mess of things, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun to mess around with them.
This is what both Tim and I were doing while Chubby Unicorn was getting dismantled by the wall.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, Tim just gave up on robots and disappeared and was like, crawling is more fun. And we
Yeah,
were trying to
I don't-
convince him to come and watch his robot win fights. And he was not interested at all.
No, I don't do combat robotics anymore. I crawl. You know,
had to
crawlers
take
gonna
it
crawl.
away. We
And
had
so
to
that's what I
take it
do.
away from you.
Oh,
Like
no.
I sent somebody in there, and they took his truck and went back to the ring just so he could come for what was it, the basics fight, right? And so like,
It's
I think-
actually
yeah, here comes Daniel with his truck, just like where's Tim? He's like, don't worry, he's coming.
My favorite quote of the event is Daniel inside the indoor track driving his crawler up the hill, and this is the quote: "This is the best combat robotics event I've ever been to in my entire life." While driving a crawler.
Yeah, I've heard from Daniel multiple times after that I was right and that buying a crawler was a good idea.
They're so much
he
fun.
is, but it's
Like I genuinely wonder if Tim slept the night of the event because I think he was just up rock crawling.
Hold on, I can try and scroll through messages and find the like 25 that he sent me about like, oh, I'm gonna
Oh, yeah,
modify
we're
this
already-
thing.
Already talking about modifications and
Like
upgrades.
You
immediate.
guys are
and-
behind. I've already modified.
Yeah, but you modify something as soon as you buy it, like within minutes. So that's not a surprise. Also, this whole crawling experience has created a chain reaction to our team where now everybody is about to buy a crawler. We have a dedicated channel to.
I just googled the price of these things. I shan't be partaking.
Oh, they're not
Okay,
bad.
some of them are really expensive. Some of them
That's
are
really
not. They're not
expensive.
bad.
And then we can share.
No.
No.
Like you go on
Really?
Amazon and you get the generic one, and China's gotten so good that these generic ones are compatible with like the name brand ones, and you're good to go.
Cats are gonna kill it.
Oh, my dog
No.
loves the
They're fine.
RC trucks.
Yeah, I can't
Mm.
drive them in the room with that.
Also, like, it's not that interesting inside. You gotta go outside.
You
I
know,
actually like
like,
inside
the
crawling
desk
better,
is the
honestly.
best thing to crawl. You just across
Yeah.
your desk. And,
Not if you have a clean desk. So maybe Alex just has a clean desk.
I
Oh,
don't have
God,
a clean
no.
desk, but it's like 3 lengths for a crawler, so like, eh.
Sounds like you need
Yeah.
a bigger desk.
or
Him and I were
small
doing
crawl.
laps
We
on
were
the.
gonna
the-
Hear
do-
that, Ellie?
And then
That's the
no.
priority.
I
Oh well,
thought your
crawl
first
your
one.
desk. That's the answer.
But my desk is clean.
Well, you have like a bunch. No, no, it's not. Not for a crawler.
Getting exposed.
I'm like very tempted to do a desk reveal just to clear my name.
I was gonna say, just like turn the camera down.
No,
just be
it's
like,
got terrain for a crawler, and then you can go onto the windowsill. Oh no, I'm gonna buy a crawler.
My desk.
Perfect. That's a great
There's
crawler
definitely,
course.
there's definitely
Yeah, but
stuff
you
you can
can-
crawl on
Yeah,
there.
you can get
Oh, you
right
can
over the
crawl on that.
mouse, up the keyboard.
Yeah, that reminds me. We're sitting there and make this page in our Discord, and all of a sudden I see blah, 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 and Tim's just like, everyone's like pocket, and I'm like, no, crawler, right over the keyboard.
Yeah, someone asked if it was a cat, and I was like, not exactly.
happened in like
could
3
scale
different
on
chats because it was all of the computers on the table at the time. Like the course went across like multiple. And
Yeah,
so
over
it's-
my laptop, over Sam's laptop, over Daphne's laptop.
So
That
we
poor
like
girl.
we offered her a chance. It's either Sam or Daphne is gonna get into one. They're gonna.
No
We'll
doubt.
see. It's yeah. So
It's like a religion.
No, it's a cult.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more a cult.
That's just
Cult
the
is
name.
like a religion.
just smaller. You know everyone. It's not the
And sometimes
difference.
you drink the Kool-Aid.
Sometimes.
All right.
That's another reason why it's a great idea for RC Experience to host these because they just made they got 3 new 3+ new customers in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and imagine how many crawlers they're gonna sell next September.
I know. Yeah, once you're like fully down the rabbit hole and you've had months for this to stew, you're like, all right, I gotta get these 3 and these 2 modifications, and this battery's a little bit better. And yeah, they'll break even from just you. Hosting will be free.
Now they just gotta get into foam flinging for Matt.
We're not getting into that. That's next podcast.
Once you have time to rope everyone else in as well.
You
I'm
know,
gonna rope Kevin in because I'm gonna bring it to the thing, and he's gonna say, "I'm buying this." I know he's
I will
going.
kill you.
I'm just gonna find my old
It's so cheap. It's just a
No.
3D printer.
No.
It's so cheap.
No.
Anyway, as Matt has pointed out somewhere, let's get this back together, guys, and get back to robots.
Okay, robot time. Speaking of robot time, there's another event that's in like 3 days or more. I can't count, and I'm not gonna try. This Saturday, we're going to NHRL. Sorry, their June 7th event. June 7th? Their June
Yes.
event is okay.
That's 4 days.
Whatever.
Listen, you gotta like account for zero, and I don't know how to. Because I didn't do computer
That's
science.
the classic fence post.
FYI, Statman over here. FYI, just saying, guys.
Tim, this was one of your
Listen.
students.
It's all because he was a music major, okay? He doesn't do math.
Yeah, some of my
Fractions.
teammates from Brandeis made me a fake music diploma and gave it to me at the event. Anyway, June event, NHRL. We're bringing a bunch of bots. We're bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now, and one more is on the wait list. We have Alex is bringing Cole, the hammer saw, as we've talked about. Corey and Michael are bringing a new bot, the Colony. Or Michael and Corey are bringing a new bot, the Colony.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, we'll talk more about that. That's very fun. A 12-pounder. Well, competing in the 12-pound division. Corey is bringing back Synthesis 30 in the 30 pounds. And then Lyndon and Jillian are bringing a 12 and a 30-pound. Lyndon has 22 inches of Monarchy, their large overhead spinner. You'll never guess the weapon diameter. And Jillian is bringing Overlord, which, if you haven't seen it, is like a looks like a scaled up version of Prince. And then Prince itself is on the wait list for the event, but it's in a few days, so I forgot the number already. And so it's probably not. It's probably not
4
getting
days
in.
from now, and I think it's 4th on the wait list.
Okay,
So both numbers are 4.
A drop per day.
that's achievable actually.
That is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our event. And then so we also earlier today matchups were released, so now we know everyone's round 1 fight. And so we're gonna go through, get a little insight on each bot, and then how people are feeling for each matchup. So I'm gonna go alphabetically because that's the order I have, I think. And so Alex, we're gonna start with Cole. You're
Yep.
fighting Nightmare of Oakland first.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean, I looked it up on the spreadsheet. It's a 2-wheel drive beater drum. So
Okay.
those can be terrifying, and they can be finger tech beater bars, which are still like you have to take that serious. But there's a difference between a standard finger tech and a basics.
True.
One of the kinks that was like there were so many kinks that Tim did not list them all. But one of the kinks that I had was that my forks were custom heat treated by me, and the grain size was much too high, and they just shattered on glancing blows. So I rush ordered as best I could from Tri-City Laser some AR500 versions of those same forks. And I have to grind them, paint them, and put them in the robot between now and the event. But having a sturdier fork, and I think the beveled edge fork geometry really helps against speeders. So if everything's working properly, it is a style of robot that Cole is designed to fight. A really nice flat top with not a lot of geometry and a lot of safe places to drop a hammer saw is I can be optimistic about that fight. Second round, I might have YO, spelled WAJOO, by Tim Bowens, and I realized earlier this week that my standard wedge doesn't really scrape the floor at all, and I need to get that to be the case for that fight specifically, if it happens, because I think YO is an awesome robot, and I want to beat it.
That's one
generally
of the shortest robots
speaking,
in the game, so you definitely want
I
ground
think it is the shortest beetle. It is technically lower than Lolo Man, which is crazy.
Because it's still like custom everything in that bot.
Oh my gosh. I love that robot.
It's so cool.
But you can't have that thick top armor when some people's top armor is the height of your robot. So
That's true.
hopefully I can get a good pin and do a number on it. Otherwise, I'm screwed.
You can start spinning at any point.
Generally speaking about the robot, though, one of the big issues that Tim was having during the event was that my repeat compacts were experienced pinion slip many times over. Like a week ago yesterday, like right after I got to working after the event, I took all those apart, soldered the pinions on. I don't know that I did the greatest job on all of them, so we'll see how it goes. I did my best. They all don't feel like they move, and a lot of them like just sort of you could take off with your fingers. So hopefully the drive system is more reliable than it was in its latter two fights at RCE. And there are a couple of more tweaks and that I'm doing for reliability. Gonna have a more complete set of spares as far as electronics go. And there was one more thing. I have a spare arm, but that's not what it was. And I'm having more configurations. So I set it up so that it had like a basic anti-horizontal configuration and a basic everybody else configuration. This version that's coming is going to have 3 more configurations, hopefully. They're all for very specific robots. I'm most of the way done with all of them, so I'm still going to be afraid of Colossus and Dutch Oven, but
They fight each other round one.
I need it.
So.
They're fighting each other round 1. So happy. They're in a different group, but I still want to be ready if I fight them in the bracket. And Colossus really did a number on Cole at RCE. So I think that's a fixable problem. I don't know if my first version of that fix will be the best one, but I'm getting started on that problem now.
I didn't realize Tim Bowens was coming, and so now I feel like I need to get Ominius ready and just be like, do you want to drive this?
That, or at least just like show off the chassis and stuff to him.
Yeah.
Has a picture
You've also got
on
Crazy
his
Horse
phone.
Girl coming.
Yeah, but he has a
right.
picture of Ominius on his phone. He goes, "This is 3 of my favorite pictures," and I am one of those. So like, I have to let him like see it in person.
That's incredible.
I didn't realize Ominius didn't come. Yeah.
Tim actually did ask who you were. I think I was chatting with him about Omni and whatnot, and he asked, "Oh, do you know who the driver of Ominius is?" I said, "Yeah, it's Kevin. He's part of my team." So you're famous in his eyes.
Weren't you in a carpool with him and didn't know?
Yeah.
Yep.
We drove him to an
NHRL.
NHRL event, and then Kevin, halfway through that drive, was like, "Oh, I just realized who you are."
That's fun. Cool. All right, so that's improvements of Cole and everything. Next up, Michael and Corey, if you'd like to talk about the colony. Also, your first fight is against Blue Marlin. Multiple
Yeah.
championship qualifier.
So let me preface this. The colony between Mike and I, we've been actually driving together since Championships 2023, where I asked Mike to be a mini bot for Synthesis 30, and then the following year, 2024, January, he was also the mini bot for Synthesis 12. So since then, we've effectively been kind of paired up going into pretty much every event we could as paired drivers. So I feel like now, one of the last times was with Emulsifier and the rest of Team Pandamonium. Mike has definitely vibed off of me, so I feel like we're definitely feeding into each other extremely well. The story how the colony kind of came to be was kind of us joking around. Mike, if you want to tell the story, go ahead.
Yeah, I think at the end of the event, or soon after the emulsifier event or fight, we kind of talked about doing a multi-bot just as kind of like firing a joke. Well, I've learned something. Don't fire jokes like that because it'll happen. Because then it's like, oh, and it's really been like Corey's been helping me out a lot as a builder, especially in my formative years, getting in stick time and just doing a lot with that. So, and we've just really enjoyed driving together. So we've just decided to keep carrying that on. Not really as a try hard team, but just a couple of guys who like to drive together. And it's fun. So we just decided to, hey, scale down synthesis, to an 8 from a 12. That's really not a big thing. But then bringing stag up from a 3 to an 8, I'm getting 5 more pounds. And my first initial design with stag was not my end design, and it was all about getting more knowledge and figuring out how I want things to look, how I want things to be. So pretty much I've kept the essence and the feel of the robot as true to the core as possible. But like this is completely different critter because the last one had 4 brushed motors. This one has 2 brushless. I'm probably going to have gyro for my very first time in a robot, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And the wheels are now offset to kind of make the robot angle back a little bit, and it's got a wedge on the back to try to give it that profile of still kind of an insect bug kind of thing, and it just being a lot of fun and carrying on the durability and hopefully bringing a brand new um Drisk with 3 teeth, so it's effectively have 6 teeth, and seeing how that goes. So getting into the 12-pound arena isn't really a stretch. I almost feel like I've spent more time in the big box as a mini than the little box as a 3. And so, every now and then I'll talk to Corey and I'll be like, oh, I'm getting a little stressed. And he's like, you went up against 30s with a 3-pounder. Hush.
Yeah,
You're,
you went face first into Emulsifier and actually survived. So I mean, you can't be doing anything
yeah.
wrong at that
So,
point. Jumping into the colony, we also looked at other multis where a lot of the compromises they make, it may be a smaller weapon motor, it may be a smaller drive motor. But a lot of these robots are made out of metal, so they have a certain percentage of weight dedicated to just frame. The nice part about Stag and Synthesis, we're plastic, so we can have our robots effectively be the same size while weighing significantly less. So we said, okay, what's standard for drive for a 12 and what's standard for a weapon for 12? So, I mean, effectively, my drive and my weapon, same as Mike's, we did very similar. We have same as Torrent. I mean, we want to have the weapon power and the drive power without sacrificing on those aspects. I mean, we're still probably about 90%, if not maybe even a little bigger than some of the 12. So, I mean, we're not really downsizing. It's been very, very fun. So the 4 matchups that we have in our group are Blue Marlin round 1, and then the other 2 robots in the other half are Galaxy and Scorpion. Galaxy is one of my good friends, Shree's robots. It's a shuffling 2-foot shuffling big vert, and then Scorpion is a newer robot, hammer saw. Effectively, Blue Marlin is wide vert as well too. So 3 verts with 2 control bots effectively in this group. They're very good. It's going to be a challenge, but at the same time, it's going to be fun trying to vibe off of Mike. What strategies do we take? I think splitting the focus on the opponent might be a really good starting point. And then as they turn and focus, because I mean, watching matches with Blue Marlin, when he turns, he does gyro, and I mean, that could be the perfect opportunity to really sneak in and get that good shot. Same with Galaxy. Galaxy's weapon system is effectively a 30-pound system, so it gyros more than Blue Marlin. And as far as Scorpion, it's an unknown robot, but it is a hammer saw, so even though we're sporting 12-pound power systems, our top plates may be that of what an ant or a beetle may be sporting. So
No, they're very, very, very thick, very tough indeed.
yeah, but
Vibranium.
it'll be yes, it will be fun
Yeah.
because it's one of those. If you don't get hit, you don't have to worry about taking damage. So,
What's
Go ahead, sorry.
interesting to me about what you're saying is like you look at some of these really successful multis, like Repeater in particular, like they did not compromise on power in Repeater. They compromised on their frame and armor, and that got them really far. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Like Battle Tots is like everything is super heavy and tiny. And like we got extra weight and we just said, oh, let's swap aluminum to AR for a couple of parts. Like we didn't make anything bigger. And like with Dot Sport, it was, oh, I'm limited to how big I can print a chassis because I problems with that robot. But going for like, let's make a big robot have the same amount of weapon power as a 12 and have 2 robots is both an ambitious and I think really awesome idea. I'm excited to see
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, I
Thanks.
mean, so I'm a big proprietor of scalability. Synthesis from a 30 to a 12 is 75%. From a 30 to an 8-pounder is 66. So the 8 and the 12 are maybe an inch difference in size. So it's definitely fun. But yeah, no, like you said, the Repeater, they focus more on having that power over durability in the frame. I think we're doing something very similar. We don't want to compromise on the power. So it's cool in that regard where Battle Tots is more trying to focus on durability with whatever weight's left. It's to add into the drive and the weapon, whereas Mike and I have gone on the opposite approach of trying to, okay, we're going to have the power be equivalent to what of 12s have, but use kind of the leftover to see what we can do for frames. So we can kind of swap notes and see, okay, what works in each pairing. And then if there's another group of robots that may come from Panda, maybe they kind of take what worked with the Colony and what worked with Battletoads and kind of merge the two.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's kind of more or less we're just doing it because we want to and have fun and things like that. And they're probably going to be very good. One of the mistakes that we made, we were like calculating the speed for a stag, and we calculated it on like a 2-inch wheel, and it's a 4 and a 3.5-inch wheel. So those numbers are a little bit off, and it's going to be going a little bit quicker than we expected, if I understand that right. And I'm still not too worried about like making those compromises and sacrifices on the frame because building this, I still went with the DNA of making my robot as tough as I possibly can and still trying to do the controlled damage thing like I like to do. But I feel like the new weapon and stuff like that is singing to me like it's actually going to bring this design home and really make it what I feel it should be and silence the doubters. Stick, flip, bite, bite, bite.
Really excited to see it. Two very fun bots at different weight classes, and I think it'll be fun to see you guys sort of meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Going from that, Corey, you're also running Synthesis 30 at this event.
Yes.
I guess. Well, first off, first matchup, Professor Wasp, another like big disc, well, medium disc vert.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, my group is I'm actually a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I generally go very fearless. I'm the largest thing in the cage. However, the last two events have showed that was a very poor mindset to approach in. Kind of the over cocky rather than the more strategic and confident. Going at the Professor Wasp's two-wheel drive vert. It's a big vert. It sticks out a lot farther in front of the chassis, so it has a lot of reach. I'm hoping I have more reach. However, yeah, kind of dialing back and figuring out what my mistakes have been the last two events. I know I have to drive more methodically. I have to pick and choose my shots, and I don't want to just go in for that kill shot because facing Dead Rise, he showed me, hey, that doesn't really work. They generally kill you. Um, so another thing that I've learned these past two events. Oh, Emulsify, he just cranks the weapon and hits things and they break. Let me do the same thing. Well, that doesn't really work as well too, because then you're limiting your amount of bite into your opponent and you drive very poorly. The most successful time that I had with the weapon was 50%. Like I fought anxiety, I was at 50%, and I had some nice bites. So I'm gonna kind of dial it back so that way I have more drivability. Within my four robots, I have Professor Wasp round one, and then for round two, why am I drawing a blank? I was literally just looking at the list. I
Undertaker
am
and
fine.
Corey. I
Yes,
pulled it up as well.
yeah. So Demon Core is going to be awesome. I love to
Okay.
see Melties. Uh, it is the chunkiest billet chassis I've ever seen. Hitting that thing is going to either break my weapon system or maybe I can get a good shot and split their chassis. I don't know. And then the other one is Undertaker. Undertaker is a very, very, very powerful robot. He was sending his opponents to the ceiling. So I'm not going to underestimate their ability and their power. Um, Watching their matches, they seem to focus more on lining up the shots, getting them on the forks, and then letting the weapon do the deed. So I'm gonna try to dial it back as well, like I said for the first one, and hopefully I can kind of outdrive them and get some good hits in. But you never know what happens when you're in the cage. Everything goes fuzzy. But I think this is leading up to here. I've always tried making things a little bit better. I think I'm getting to the point where the robots, it has the power, it has the drive, it's pretty solid, it can take the hits, it can lead people into the weapon. I think the limiting factor now is my ability to physically drive this robot, and I think I need to just really look at what characteristics it can benefit from and try to maximize those. Some of the drivers that I idolize, Brandon Meted Young is one of the best drivers out there. Control ball with a vert. Jameson Go is definitely going to this event, so a lot of drive focused robots. So I'm excited. I want to see things fly into the ceiling, and hopefully it's not me this time.
You gotten any chance to like drive practice Synthesis 30 anywhere?
Yeah, so I have a little street out front of my house. I don't actually drive it with the disc spinning because
Yeah.
it's very chaotic, but I do have a long street where I can actually open it up. I generally will set up 16 by 16 cones so I can practice getting the maneuverability, and that's kind of the extent. We'll see.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Should be fun. It'll be fun to watch. Yeah. Other
Outside
than that,
of the box, which I believe is Christine, says you can do it, Corey.
I'm gonna
I believe-
try. I mean, I don't want the finals of last year to seem like a fluke where like the robot did so well, and then kind of going into this year, it's kind of been less than stellar. I mean, outside of introducing Kevin into the 30-pound class, I want I want to actually I want to have some good matches. Yeah.
There's been a couple of bots. I think it's just the division's starting to get like really competitive now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still have faith in yours.
Thank you.
It's shown a lot of shown a lot of good things. Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze, so I'm not concentrating as much, but the bot's really good. Yeah. The other bots that are going to this are of Lyndon and Jillian, so I'll just talk about them a little bit.
By the way, they did say feel free to make up as much stuff as you want about them.
Cool. 22 inches of Monarchy is 7 feet wide. It's actually weighs 35 pounds. I don't know how they got into the 12-pound division, but they work their magic. It can fly.
It actually can fly.
I guess, yeah, it actually. They spin up the weapon fast.
Just not by their choice.
Actually,
Well,
the blade diameter is 56 centimeters. Just FYI.
Oh, I thought it was 55 centimeters.
55.8. Let's calm down. Let's calm down.
That's fair. The first fight of the event is Buzzkill, which is fun. Yeah, what Kevin said. That'll be, yeah. Buzzkill has a dumpster as a tool drive undercutter. It's extremely speedy. But it'll be interesting because it is 22 is an overhead, but it's pretty low as far as bots go. And so they might be able to outreach because they do have that giant weapon on it. So even though Buzzkill's got the undercutter, and so kind of has like a geometry advantage, there's a decent chance that 22 can still hit first, which I don't know. We'll see if that might be able to give them an edge. Honestly, I have no idea how it's gonna go.
Lyndon did just confirm that the blade is a propeller, so I feel like their plan is actually going to be defense, and they're going to spend a lot of time in the air avoiding the opponent.
I see.
Colony clears.
How do you do the counter torque?
Wait a second. Is Lyndon in the chat?
Yeah.
Lyndon, what the hell?
Join get over here. What are you doing, dude?
Nah, they're so unprepared right now. By that I mean they're overprepared.
No, they're in robot building / not sleeping mode, so it's okay.
That's fair.
Come on, some of my parts haven't even come in yet.
I think the 22 inches versus Buzzkill match will be defined by one hit. That first hit, if Buzzkill can't take the impact of the bar, I mean, they could get a one-shot KO. But at the same time, Buzzkill is really fast. If they're able to take the hit and then kind of stop the bar, Buzzkill can go in for that kill shot because the bottom is plastic, whereas I believe Buzzkill is AR 600 or 500, so it will cut through the plastic, but taking that big hit in the beginning will kind of make or break Buzzkill.
It's actually a misconception. The bottom plate of 22 is vibranium. A lot of people don't know that.
All right, so it'll take
Sorry.
more than one hit, so
Yeah.
Lyndon said,
Good
I'm
news.
outside hand rounding Overlord parts. Don't worry about it. And that is why he's not here.
Okay. Best of luck.
who else is in their group? Do we know?
The next two, it's it looks like it's Lasagna or Katabatic. Lasagna has registered for a couple of NHRL events, but I think they've ended up forfeiting.
Is
No,
that
they
the-
existed.
Yeah, that's
They
the
did?
Omni overhead.
Kevin murdered it
Oh.
with Torrent.
Oh yes, you turned them into noodles.
Just a little bit. Was
Yeah,
that the
he
fight
came
you
in
guys
your
were all
bear.
yelling at me to calm down? I can't remember which fight it was, but one of the fights I was
I think it
definitely
was.
yeah, I was definitely drawing Torrent and I look across the ring and all you guys like, calm down.
Including Donald.
Yeah.
Wasn't Donald on the other side of the ring?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
relax.
And yeah,
Well, that'll be fun.
yeah, that'll be interesting. Overhead versus overhead.
Yeah, don't get those too often.
Well, I
Katabatic
mean,
new.
NHRO likes to play up the apricot versus 22 inches. Well, predecessor to 22 inches. So maybe
Yeah.
that'll be another match that lives in June.
That is true.
That'd be cool.
That would be fun. At least as a grudge or something. But yeah. Yeah, then Katabatic, I think I might have seen a picture of it being a vert, but it's, as far as I know, it's new to the division. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, and then from there, seeded into the bracket, I have no idea.
And then Overlord has a hell
Speaking
of a
of
first match.
yeah, another dumpster winning 2-wheel drive undercutter, actually. That's all they're fighting in round 1.
They're very similar in shape too.
Yep. Yeah, that like
We say
the
it's
left-
anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you saying they have anxiety or
No,
the opponent has
You guys
anxiety?
didn't say who it was. She was like, oh, it's another dumpster winner. And Alex is like,
Oh,
anxiety,
Ah.
guys.
Whoops.
No, I
Yeah,
just
it's
assume they both would have anxiety, like, because they're both big robots. But
Mm.
who knows?
This is probably also
Don't
true.
worry about it.
This is actually stat about that fight. This will be their third dumpster winner that they have to fight in 6 fights at NHRL. Because their Prince and Overlord are both just cursed with matchups that they're only allowed to fight really good bots at inopportune times. So they're continuing that trend, which will be fun.
And then
last
they
we
also
saw-
Mirage and Jump Rope is the other two.
Oh, I think jump rope is. It was
Jump
registered
Rope's
as
the awesome bot.
It's a
registered
tumbler.
as something like a yeah.
Side
a-
mounted tumbler.
My guess is it's like sideways cattywampus. That's what that sounds like to me. Because also jump rope, so it's hopping around. It feels like. And then, yeah, Mirage is just gigantic disc shuffler vert. Made it to finals last year. Beat Ares. Or beat Ares to make it to finals. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, but Mirage is also not. It's not the most mobile bot. There's Overlords.
Oh,
At least at last I really saw it was Moto, honestly. But it seems like it's pretty mobile, and so maybe they'll be able to just get around to the side, do some damage if they end up in that matchup as well.
Mirage is also very tall too, so Overlord will have a better chance of hitting like not just top plate, but actually side of the chassis. But Mirage does have a heavy vertical spinner disc, so it can go either way.
Yeah.
But from fighting anxiety, you definitely need some type of wedge to lead into the weapon. So we'll see what Lyndon and Jillian can pull out.
Do they have a? Do we know if they have a wedge for this? I think I remember seeing a CAD picture, but
It's in the works. As to whether it gets made in time and in weight is in the clouds right now. I'm
I see.
hoping they have a. I'm hoping it gets finished and it allows them to run it, because then that will be their best option. But
Mhm.
we'll see what Saturday brings.
If not, then improvise, do what we can.
And Lyndon is watching, so he may chime in. And he did say they fixed the mobility issue since last NHRL.
Great. Okay. Because it was like flipping on its. Okay. Sick. That'll be fun. They also have Princes on the wait list, so we'll see that. If that gets in, we have no idea who it's going to fight, because that would mean someone would have to drop now, which is just chaos in there anyway. Yeah, I was going to ask, like, is it, I don't know, do they want it to get in, sort of? Because that might end up being more stressful than anything, but
Everything they've said is they would love to have it fight.
Yeah.
that's fair.
And like
They're,
Lyndon works
I
well.
feel like it's always ready. Like
Yeah.
Prince is always just ready. They have so many copies of it, so they just take it off the shelf and put it in the box.
and they
for
do
the
that,
amount of
like,
stress they deal with. Lyndon does pretty well with it. Like he's never
Yeah.
that like, oh my god, go away, I hate all of you. So
it's always, I think they said they went to like 50 events with it or something like that. I forget the number that they quoted, but it was something ridiculous for being a bot that's been around for like 2 years, a year and a half. Like yeah. If they get in, I think you're right. Yeah, it'll just be ready to go, because it just is somehow always. That is all for the robots that we have going to this next event. Unless anyone has a secret one that they didn't tell me about. Okay, good. Anyone? Do you have any? Who else is going as like? Is anyone else going who's not bringing a bot? Oh, nice.
we are a team here.
That's-
Okay.
Corey.
Sometimes the team
Corey.
makes it.
Corey raised his hand as if he's not bringing
Oh.
a bot.
Wait,
Yeah, as if
He's
he's not
not
bringing two bots.
Yeah, no, he's
Bring
bringing
one
two,
bot,
and the
yeah.
bots are bringing him. He's not bringing the bot, so therefore, he could raise his hand.
I'm actually having you. I'm just gonna drop. I'm gonna mail the robots, and you guys have to drive them.
Don't
As
drive
long
me
as you
with a
get him
good
there
time.
on Friday. Yeah. Bring him on Friday.
Yeah.
Fun little stat from Lyndon. Prince hit 100 ranked fights at Boxelmania 2, aka Memorial Day Mayhem.
Oh my god. That bot's like that's like our like fourth youngest on this team. How is it? And by far the most experienced.
I
Self-loathing.
don't think that's true.
But yeah, so never mind. Sorry for questioning if they'll be ready. Because that was unfamiliar with your game. Yeah, so those of us going as spectators, anything that you're particularly excited for, or any fights you want to see, any things you want to do at NHRL?
I might be pretty excited to steal Kevin's crawler and crawl.
Yes, let it flow through you.
So there's so
That's
many.
it and nothing else.
I'm actually
Gonna be
pretty
a
excited
freestyle.
to go to an NHRL and have no idea what's going on. Like, I haven't looked at the fights. Some of the stuff you guys are saying now is the first time I've heard it. So, like, this is actually going to be a fresh and new NHRL for me. I get to go, watch fights, have no idea what's going on, help my friends build their shit, and have fun.
Yeah, and just kind of show up and vibe and then leave, instead of like, well, I have to stress the whole day.
and be here till like midnight.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you know we're gonna stay to the end.
Yeah. There's
The
no.
idea is we're gonna leave early and drive home, but
That's a lie.
It's not
we all
happening.
know that's never happening.
That's a good
No
one.
chance.
No,
Yeah.
you're gonna miss 3 hours of robot combat just driving. What are you crazy?
2.5.
I'll put it
I'm
on.
like-
I'll listen to it in the car.
Yep.
Listen.
Not worth.
Yeah. I
Nah,
know.
this is the event
So,
somebody dumpsters, and then you're like, we're not leaving.
yeah, well, we're
Yeah.
not leaving. We're gonna wait till the end, and then I'm gonna, cry. It's fine.
Just gonna start mainlining caffeine.
Oh, do you guys not have a hotel for the second night?
So we have a hotel for 0 nights. We're driving
in
down
Saturday
Saturday
morning.
morning.
Oh boy.
We're
See, I was
driving down
smart.
early and then
I was
I was
driving
smart, and
home
I just
late.
said, Linda and Jillian, can I just like sleep on your floor? And they're like, yeah. So that
That's a
was
good
my
idea.
Yeah,
plan.
that was smart.
Michael, you're muted.
It's gonna be a long day.
Michael, you're
Alright.
muted.
Yeah.
You're muted, Mike.
Oh,
No wonder why people weren't answering my question. I was a little mute. Sorry. Yeah, who's showing up on Friday?
wow.
Okay, good.
This is weird.
I have to.
I'm here. I'm going
Oh.
too.
That's not true. I
Okay.
worked an event and showed up Saturday morning. I was in the door at 7.
I do
Yeah.
safety.
We only have one block of tables, which is strange.
Yeah.
Well, there aren't that many of us.
Panda
well,
Alley
that's
will
the
be
strange
light.
part.
I mean,
Yeah,
there'll
usually
be
it's
plenty of
like
us in uniform,
a quarter
like in our
of them.
jersey.
We're technically in 2 blocks, so I volunteered to kind of be Chris Ryan's kind of mental coach. Kind of when he gets in his head, tell him to focus. So Mike and I will be sitting across from Chris to kind of tell him to chill out if he's getting kind of too hyped up. So we'll be occupying 2 groups of tables.
Yep.
Look forward to seeing everyone there. I think this will be a fun event. I'm not going to say anything else so I don't jinx it.
All right.
I assume Matt just
That's-
saw that.
What?
No, I accidentally opened chat, but it's okay. It was only for a second. Nothing happened.
That's pretty much all I have. So
Well,
bye.
yeah. Anybody? I
We have-
guess
we have an
that's it.
outro.
What? Oh, we
We-
don't worry. It's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for those of you that have stuck around for this whole thing. You guys are absolute heroes. Remember to like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your friend's mom. We appreciate you all, everyone. Have a good night.
Check out our Overture affiliate link.
Hey, it's there. Yeah.
Yes. Overture.